Hey, Blue Table fans, Sean here, and now it's time for part 2 of our Tzeentch overview. Now, I realize Age of Sigmar isn't the top of the wargaming pile nowadays, but I think the game has great potential, and I happen to love it personally, and the channel's always been, hey, I'm going to put up whatever I want and hope people like it. So, anyway, let's go back to our PDF here. And we've got, where did we leave off? Because we're doing it item by item. I've actually scrolled down a little bit. Yeah, here we go. Herald of Tzeentch on Burning Chariot. So, let's go ahead and zip on over to the Games Workshop store. Go ahead and show all items per page. I did a search for Tzeentch. This actually won't bring all of them up. You've got to do some specific searches. Before I get started, though, I wanted to say that I still have some slots open for January. Yes, you could actually get a whole army done at the end of January, as early as that, and a few slots in February as well. I have a great new program called Call to Arms, and that's where a specialized team works on your project, and it's pretty intensive. Okay, so anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and fill up my cart today. So this kit here, this actually makes the chariot. It makes a herald on foot. It makes an exalted flamer. There's a lot that comes in this kit, and I think it's really quite a bargain for $40. You could actually, because it comes with 2 screamers as well. Personally, if I was going to do this, I would split some of the models off and use this kind of as just, you know, mulch for doing conversions and stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and add 3 of those to my cart. So it makes this guy, and it also makes a herald on foot, this guy here. There's another head. Is this the alternate head? No, it's not. It has like the moon head, which is pretty cool. And so let's go ahead and go back. So I've got 3 of those in my cart. Now let's go back to our list here, our PDF. These are for free, by the way. Okay, so blue scribes. Now, blue scribes are 5 wounds. And quite frankly, they don't have a lot of damaging power. But they do have the frantic scribbling ability, and that's when a wizard within 18 inches of them casts a spell. On a 4 or more, they actually learn that spell. Now, that'd be really weird because, like, what if you were playing a Slann army against them, and they actually started summoning lizardmen? It'd be funny. Scrolls of Sorcery, and so they can use this instead of making a casting attempt. And they only get 1 casting attempt. So on a 2+, they cast the spell. So this is interesting because first off, the unbinding is pretty high. It's 9. So if you roll a 2 or higher to unbind that spell, you need a 9 or more on your unbinding attempt. Now, what's interesting here is this is ideal for spells that are like very, very, very high casting cost. But the one spell that they have, other than the 2 basic Arcane Bolt and Mystic Shield spells. Oh, and by the way, I thought they would come out with like a larger basic list, but they haven't. That's basically it. It looks like the game's going forward, and those are the 2 spells that wizards know. An offensive and a defensive one. So, Boon of Tzeentch is that you can re-roll failed casting rolls for Tzeentch wizards within 18 inches. So these guys are really just a boosting factor. They're meant to be sort of, you know, a helper to the rest of the army. And they do die pretty easy. So Pink Horrors of Tzeentch. Now here's where it gets interesting, and here's where what I think is the key to a Tzeentch Daemons army in Age of Sigmar. is here, summon Pink Horrors. So on a 6, you can set up a unit of 10 within 18 inches. And that's, so with the bonuses from the Lord of Change, Like for the Lord of Change to fail this spell, if there were 2 of them on the board, it'd need to be double 1s, basically. Because if you rolled a 2, like a 2 and a 1, the 1 would convert to a 2 for changing to the highest, and then you'd get +2. So you'd have a 6 there. But where it's really interesting is that if you roll an 11 or more, you get 20 pink horrors. So if you do the math on that, a pair of Lords of Change actually have a 75% chance. If either dice shows as a 4 or higher, they'll get 20 pink horrors. And you could choke up the battlefield with pink horrors pretty quickly, actually. But it gets even better. Even though the pink horrors just have kind of a basic stat line, I mean, they're nothing to write home about. And if anything, the letter you'd write home is they're not that good. So now you've got the leader gets +1 attack, who cares? The icons, though, this is where it gets interesting, is that if you roll a 1 when making a battle shock test for the horrors, it adds D6 pink horrors to the unit. So, or is it 6? I can't really read this very well. Let me make this smaller, move it to the middle. Yeah, if you roll a 1, so if you get a bad roll, you get D6 horrors. Of course, you will have lost some, possibly, because you made a bad battle shock test. But the Hornblower makes opponents within units within 6 inches reroll battle shock tests of a 1. And that is, I gotta tell you, that makes you sad inside. Okay, so these guys can add 1 to their casting rolls for if it's within 1 or more horror heroes in your army, and that's basically the Herald. I'm not sure if the Lord of Change is considered a hero. Let's scroll back up. Come on, where are you? Kairos Fate Weavers, the first one. Changeling. Where are we now? Lord of Change. Is he a horror hero? Nope, he sure isn't. He's a hero. He's a wizard. Lord of Change, yeah. So the Changeling is a horror hero, and the Heralds, basically, in all their different forms. So let's go ahead and scroll back down to pink horrors. And they can cast a spell as well. So that's pretty awesome. So all in all, the pink horrors are, I believe, a really great unit. But their role is one of gumming up the works and not going out and killing things. The horrors actually don't kill things. Of course, Arcane Bolt does cause mortal wounds, so yeah, I gotta tell you, these guys are great. Exalted Flamers. Now, I just want to point out that you get the Exalted Flamers by, oh, that's weird. I lost my search. T-Z-E-N-T-C-H. Okay. It's the Burning Chariot that really gives you the heralds and stuff. So, but the Exalted Flamer actually comes in the Burning Chariot. And it's a really large model and really cool. So this guy's like huge. He's like 2 inches tall. He's see how big the regular infantry are compared to him. And so basically in the disc, you get the hero on foot, you get 3 horrors, 2 screamers, and 1 exalted flamer. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 models, plus the disc itself, and then all the bases that come with them. So I gotta tell you, Burning Chariot is a absolutely great kit, and it makes me happy. You could kind of form up the beginnings of an army just by buying a bunch of these. And they're basically like the same cost as a Rhino. Tons of pieces in them too. So it's good stuff. I'm going to give thumbs up for those guys. Whoops. Here we go. So Exalted Flamers. Okay, so Exalted Flamers versus regular Flamers. I wish I could show these guys back to back. So effectively, the Exalted Flamer has 9-inch move, 4 wounds, 5 up save, 10 bravery, right? Just remember that. So these guys have the same, except for it's half. They get half wounds, and in fact, if you look at their stat line, everything is like halved. So a regular Flamer has 3 attacks, an Exalted Flamer has 6 attacks, and so forth. They both have the same movement. Now, here's the difference between an Exalted Flamer and a regular Flamer. If you use the spell that summons them, you summon 1 Exalted Flamer, just 1. And so you basically get 4 wounds off of that. But if you summon Flamers of Tzeentch, you get 3 Flamers of Tzeentch. And so Flamers of Tzeentch are for the win because the spell that summons them actually summons more things. Now, what's interesting is the Exalted Flamers have the ability Capricious Warp Flame. Okay, roll a dice for every unit that's suffered a wound from the Exalted Flamer's Warp Flame. On a 4 or more, they take D3 additional mortal wounds. But on a 1, they heal D3 wounds as well. So they brought over that stupidity. Now, the Flamers have the same thing. But here's where the Flamers are better. They have Locus of Transmogrification. Roll a dice each time a model in this unit is slain within 9 inches of a horror hero from your army. On a 6, add 2 Flamer models to this unit. I gotta tell you, that's huge. I mean, that is just, that makes this unit pretty hard to kill. Because let's say you did 3 wounds, and so the chances are pretty good that you're going to get a horror hero. In fact, let me call up a calculator, and let me show you some basic sort of probabilities, how to figure out what are the chances if you roll 3d6 that one of them is going to be a 6. So first, you have to get a percentage. So 1 divided by 6 equals 0.1666666. So let's call it 0.17. So a 17% chance of rolling a 6. An 83% chance of not rolling a 6. So what you do is you take 0.83. That's your chance of not rolling a 6 on 1 dice. Now multiply that. So you got to square it and cube it and use powers. So multiply it. So if you roll 2d6, it's 0.83 squared will give you your percentage. So we multiply 0.83 times 0.83. Now there's basically a 69% chance that you won't roll a 6 and a 31% chance, approximately, of one of those 2 dice being a 6. It's actually about a 1 in 3 chance. In fact, it is a 1 in 3 chance. So let's go ahead and multiply by 0.83 again. 57. So that means there's approximately a 43, maybe as high as a 45% chance that as this unit it gets killed, you're going to be adding Flamer models to it. Now, if you get lucky, you could just, I mean, this could just keep going on and on and on. I mean, it's insane. So Flamers really are, quite frankly, as far as I can tell, just plain better than the Exalted Flamer. So I would just put the Exalted Flamer in a unit of Flamers of Tzeentch, the model, and just call him a regular Flamer. Maybe he's the leader, the Pyrocaster, right? Okay, so let's talk about Screamers of Tzeentch. So let's go ahead and go back to our Tzeentch page here. Wow, it's taken me 14 minutes to get this far. Boy, I sure can talk. Okay. So Screamers of Tzeentch. They come in a box of 3 for $10 each, approximately. So $30 for the 3. It's a plastic kit. Great kit. They look really good. Hats off to GW is all I gotta say. And they look really cool. Definitely want those. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back. So the Screamers of Tzeentch, where are they? Here we go. So Summon Screamers is on a 6. It summons 3. They have 3 wounds each. So that's a sweet 9 wound unit. Now, if it's the casting rolls 11 or more, you get 6 of them. So again, with the Lord of Change bonuses, there's a high chance that you're going to get an 11 or more. If the result of the casting roll. So these guys have 3 attacks each to hit for wound of 3. So they definitely have elite damage. But they do D3 versus monsters, so that's really good. They have 16-inch fly, which is really good. You can get them where you want them to. And they can do flyovers, and you roll a D6, and for every screamer that goes over the unit, and on a 6, that unit suffers a mortal wound. Quite frankly, you're not going to get a lot from that. They do have Locus of Change, so while they're within 9 inches of a horror hero, let's see, enemy models, let's see, if an enemy model targets such a unit, your opponent must treat any hit rolls of 6 as 1 instead. So they do have a defensive measure on them, Locus of Change. Okay, Burning Chariots, this is just basically like a kill monster here. They don't have any sort of synergy with the rest of the army. So quite frankly, Burning Chariots, pretty good.